very good afternoon to you all. I hope you're doing fantastic. In this video, I'm going to talk about a different style of recruitment, which is actually recruiting for self-employed people. So naturally, if you're doing contingent permanent recruitment, you're often charged a percentage, if you're the client, of the fee or the salary of the person you're recruiting. So what happens if a client says to you, look, we want someone that's self-employed, so we don't actually want to put them on the sort of payee, or we don't want to put them on our books or hire them as a temporary staff or contractor. There is a grey area where it's a self-employed person. So what do? The legal issue here is that self-employed person is technically outside of employment, so they don't get any rights, and also they don't have any set hours. So typically, I'll give you an example, something like a physiotherapist. It's very common in that space because somebody will own a clinic, and then they would get, they're not sure of how many sort of customers or clients they're going to get. They might have 20 hours per week. So what they do is they hire self-employed physiotherapists and they pay them. They usually split the money with them. So if it's £100 per hour, the self-employed person will get £50 and the clinic will keep 50. So what do? On the client side, they probably don't want to pay a big fee because that person isn't legally into a contract. So they don't want to pay that £3,000 to £5,000 fee. Obviously, talking with your client, they'll tell you exactly what to do, but I'm going to tell you what's the best scenario for yourself. Ideally, this goes for pro rata people or people on part-time. Again, they don't feel like they want to pay the whole fee. And if you talk to clients, they will say, look, it's a part-time person, or it's a contractor, or it's a self-employed person. What do? So you can offer half the fee, is what I tend to do. So I wouldn't go down to a 5% fee. I would say, look, prorated, it's going to cost you £3,000 instead of £6,000. That's what I usually do. If it's something like, hey, look, we want £1,000 fee, you're actually still doing the same amount of work in hiring sort of permanent staff. It's basically the same thing. You still have to find the person. You still have to do the interviews. You still have to make sure they accept the offer, show up, and they're there permanently. The other thing you can do is not give a rebate. So a rebate is obviously there if it's a permanent member of staff. So you can charge half fee, but no rebate, or very little rebate. Like, just make sure they show up as long as they last 2 weeks. It's totally up to you. We want nothing to do with it. That's your bargaining chip you have to have. It's either the fee drops or the rebate drops. Ideally, you want to explain it's the same amount of work for us. We'll give you the same level of service as if they were a permanent member of staff. We'll check in with them. We'll help support you in, getting the hours in and making sure they show up, etc. You need to obviously do a good job in interviewing the person as well to make sure that they've done something similar. So if someone's done something for 2 years self-employed for another physiotherapy clinic, you want to highlight that to the client and say they've done it, they're used to it, and that's your selling point. This is a good candidate that's going to stick. So don't be worried they're going to leave you even though they're self-employed. If it's a person that's been self-employed in 6-7 clinics, it's going to be a really hard sell for you across the last 6 months. So just wanted to clear that question up. The other thing is pro rata. What do? So pro rata means, that element of the salary, because they're doing reduced hours, so they're working part-time. What do? Do you give, a discounted fee? What I usually do, or if it's a 3-month or 6-month contract, what can you do? So you can offer it as a finder's fee in the same sense. So I tend to do a flat fee, which obviously in their mind works out a bit cheaper, but it's exactly the same. So let's say it was a 15%, and their salary worked out pro rata, let's say 10,000, 1,500 would be the fee. So I would definitely just pitch that as a flat fee for prorated staff, rather than actually saying, oh, it's a percentage, because they'll look at the percentage and they'll think, oh, how can we give this person less hours? And you don't know how many hours they're going to end up doing. So I hope that gives you some clarity over that. And it does explain sort of, elements and the things you can do. The bottom line is, it's your business, it's your desk. You can build anything you want in terms of fees. You can charge what you want. Just don't be in the market of dropping your pants, giving a free service or a very low fee, and it just ends up being the same amount of work. You could be hiring a permanent member of staff for that. So I hope that helped. Any questions, do get in touch. Take care.